Okay, so what we're going to do in this video, we're actually going to walk through the process of creating a Power App that will allow you to upload multiple images and save those images into SharePoint, as well as retrieve those images in an efficient way to where we're not bringing heavy images from SharePoint into um, Power Apps. So if we take a look at my screen here, let me just show you an example of the application that we'll be using. So I have this repair tracker here, and this is one that I've been playing around with. And as you can see, I'm using the standard screens that comes with Power Apps when you create a Canvas app. So really, there's no surprises there. But you can see how fast these images are loading, or fast relatively. And then if you click on the image, you have a gallery to where you can actually scroll through and see the photos there. Now, the experience from the end user, when they go here to create a new request item, they can go ahead and hit the plus sign, hit sample request. And they can also use, the cool thing about it is they can use the microphone on their phone. And now you have voice over text capabilities to where you can actually speak into the text box. Oh, I didn't detect my voice on there. So this is the voice over text capabilities to where you can actually speak into the text box or not. Oh, it's probably because I'm sharing. But yeah, trust me, that works. So, you can submit a description there. Because I'm sharing my phone, my microphone is probably being used by another app, which is why it's not working. So now if I hit upload, you see these options here. It allows me to either take a photo. So now what I can do, I can take a photo of this coffee, and then I can send a complaint to say that this coffee is not tasting good, or you can say, whatever. But the fact that I can sit here and take multiple photos with multiple angles, right, is one of those things that in the real world is a necessity, because now what it will allow you to do is that you can take multiple angles, maybe, before and after pictures and things along those lines. And it's not multiple angles in the sense that one photo for before and another photo for after. You may be like, maybe it's a machine lockout situation because you have to clean or there's a repair. You can take photos of before the action is taken. What does it look like, multiple angles, and then once the action is completed, take additional photos and multiple angles. So again, it sets you up to some really, really positive and capabilities. So now what's happening is that, as you can see my screen, is I've updated the photos. Oh, it's not being captured here. So if I click on this item, you will notice it says photos are still processing. And basically what's happening is that there's a flow that runs in the back end that's actually taking these attachments and dumping them into a SharePoint library. So let's kind of diagram what we want to build here in this session. So here you're going to have your SharePoint list, and it's going to have all the information from the request, right? And then as you get that information, as you saw, there's going to be an attachment. That's my paper clip there to represent my attachment icon. You click on the attachment, and it's going to load those in. Now that is pretty fluid, and that was pretty straightforward, right? There wasn't a lot of delay, or really not that much latency. So in the back end is adding all these attachments to the request. And then once they hit submit, what's going to happen is that this information is going to go to a SharePoint list, right? The request list, that's the data source for that item. And then the attachments are going to go to the request as well. But then what we're going to do, we're going to fire up a flow, and that's going to take those attachments and extract them out and dump them into a document library, right? And this is a powerful architecture design, because taking these attachments out and dumping them into this library, it gives you the ability to not only store the file and optimize the read command, meaning that you can get very small images, right? There's a thumbnail property that I will show you that you can extract those small images, and that makes when you render this information in the gallery that much faster. So not only do you have that, but you also have the ability to add different metadata on each file. And as I was talking through the scenario of, what if there's a machine lockout, you have to take some before images and then take another set of images for the after. That allows you to distinguish that says, okay, for this item and these images are captured, these are the ones to show before, and you can lay them out in a certain way. And these are the ones that were taken after, and then you can lay those out in a certain way. And we'll walk through what it takes to pull those off. So if I switch back quickly to my phone, wow, this thing records everything. So if I switch back quickly to my phone and let me go and refresh, and there are my coffee photos, right? And then if I click on that, you can see the gallery, and I have all my angles and all this other good stuff. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get started and build this out. So I'm gonna just minimize that for now. We can come back to it. And right here, I'm in my equipment request site, and then I have my list items here on the right. Let's just go ahead and do the full screen so that way you guys can see everything. So once I get into the equipment repair, let's actually start from scratch. This is a sample. You know what? Let's just blow this away. This is a sample. And there's really not much here, right? I added the title I get for free. I added a repair date. I added a description, and the attachments are still enabled. So, there's really nothing to this list. But the one thing I do want to add is another library to store my photos. Right now, this is my photo snap. And in here, the only thing that I added, this is a standard document library. The only two things that I added was the item ID and then the state. So to distinguish, again, before and after photos, right? So let's go over here to site contents, and let's create a new library to store our photos. And let's just call it, and it has to be, here's another thing, it has to be a document library. Because we're dealing with photos, your gut is going to say, hey, let's go to apps, and let's create a photo gallery, right? So I think if you search on photo, or if you search on gallery, I don't know if it's picture gallery or photo gallery, or maybe there's no gallery. Let's see. Yeah, so it's called picture library. Sorry. So first reaction is say, oh, let me just use a picture library. The problem is that I ran into an issue with the picture library that it did not, for whatever reason, allow me to view the photos when I was on my mobile. So I pulled all this together using the exact same process that I'm about to show you, but I used a photo library versus a document library. And I can view the photos when I was in the browser playing the app through the browser. But when I was playing the app through the mobile phone, I couldn't see the photos. And it seems like there was an authentication issue. All right, so let me just do this, or snap photos 2. And again, this is just going to be our library that we're going to store. And like I said, I only had 2 new columns. So let me do a single line item for item ID, right, for single line text. And then I'm going to do a choice that's going to say state. And then this is where I'm going to just go ahead and drop in my before or after, right? And I'm going to default to before. All right. Again, this is the library. This is where we're going to store things. I like to keep my IDs in front. So let's store my IDs there. So now let's go ahead and jump into creating our Canvas app. So I go into PowerApps Studios, and then I just go to create here. This is going to be a Canvas app. We want to have it a phone, and we want to call it equipment. You just say equip requests, right? And I think this will distinguish from the existing ones I have. And that's going to fire up. So once this fire up, all I want to do now is just go ahead and grab my data source. Get there. Oh no, I did not want to start there. That's too raw. I want to jump start this into something. So let me do start from this data. Hey. Please, Skinny. 1 second, please. Yeah, go ahead upstairs, guys, please. Thank you. Come on, come on, come on, come on. So I got puppy and child duty, all in one. All right. So now if I go into set the request here. So I'm gonna start this with a template that's gonna pull from a document list, right? I'm sorry, a SharePoint list. And then we got equipment repair 2. We're gonna reuse this guy. Yep. Why do I have unsaved changes? No, this is being. Why is this being difficult? Why is this being difficult? Reload. I didn't get that. I didn't understand why it didn't create in the first time. So anyway, it seems like it's kicking in the gear. It's going to do what it's going to do its thing, and this is fine. So I have this standard template here, right? There is nothing I really need to do to that app, so I'm gonna just take all those default settings, and this is going to be the name of the app. I'm gonna give it an icon, a color. Let's just select that for now. So equipment request 2. It's still phone. There's no advanced settings we need to modify, and then go ahead and hit save. Right, so I have several of these right from playing. So R is going to be the equip request 2. So let's remember that. And this guy is going to go ahead and do its thing, right? So now if I switch back over, we should be good to go. So let me switch out of here. Let me go to the one that we just created. Hit refresh here. And the equip request. Okay, that's going to be a purple one at the bottom here. So just like that, I mean, we're good to go. So I can go in here, hit new. I have my title, I have my date, I have my attachments. If I hit attach, I have the option to take a photo and all this other stuff. So all that kicks in. So we're good. We're good with that. So now let's go ahead and go to start building out our Power Automate flow. And again, this is the piece to where we want to take all those attachments and dump them into a document library. So let me just go to my flow, create new, let's say automate. And then we want this flow to trigger when it's created or modified, when the item is created or modified. So all right, and then hit create. And then select the list that we want to grab this from. So that's going to be the equipment request site. And then equip request, repair 2, right? So that's going to do its thing. And then hit next. So the first thing we want to do is grab all the attachments. So let me say get attachments. And then we want to get the attachments from the list item on this list. And then the ID is the one that triggered this process. So let me just filter on ID. And again, pay attention to these headings here for all these tokens or properties when the item is created, because they're super important. Because once we start building this out, you're going to have like 4 different IDs. So grabbing the right one that represents what you're trying to do is going to be key. So you grab the attachments, and then once we have the attachments, next thing you want to do is create a file. So we're going to create this file in that document library. Again, we just want to move the attachments from the list to the library and everything in the collection, right? So that if they're taking multiple photos, we want to grab everything. So which library do we want to create this in? So that's going to be the, hit my browse key here. This is going to be my photo, snap photos 2. I'm getting confused with all the names, right? All right, so now it has create file. The file name is going to be the file name from get attachments, right? Again, paying attention to this guy. So just hit that display name. As soon as I select that property, it says, hey, I got a collection. You're dealing with a collection. We need to build and apply each loop. So that way you're looping through and touching each item in the collection or each file in the collection. So now it's asking me for this file content. So far, I don't have an action to do that. So let's go ahead and grab it. And again, if you just search on attachments, and there's one that says get attachment content. So that's exactly what we need. And this is going to be in the wrong order. So let me just slide this guy down. That's my get attachments content. Now, where do we want to grab that from? So we want to grab it from the list item that triggered this. And that list is going to live in this library. The name of that list is repair 2. The ID, this is the ID of the item that triggered this process, right? So that's going to be this guy, because this is the ID. This is a list item that's going to have all of the photos that we're taking. Now it's going to ask, okay, which photo or which attachment do you want? And then I have to do the ID for that attachment. So now if I do this get attachments, it's going to be that ID, and that's going to be the current one that's in this loop, right? So if they've taken 9 pictures, this is going to be photo 1. It's going to loop through, do the same thing for photo 2, loop through, photo 3, until we get everything done. And now I can, and what it's going to do is going to get the content for each photo, create a file for that photo, and then dump the content in that create file step, right? And that's where I do get attachment content. That attachment content right there is where that file goes. So it's once you get used to this, it seems wonky, especially come from a different app platform or something like that. But yeah, in short, I mean, when you're creating files, all you really need is a spot to drop it, the name of the file, and the data that goes inside of the file, right? And that's what that create file is going to do for us. Now, once that's done, let's just save this all. And now what we should be able to do, we should be able to pop back over here into our app. So let's go see what we got going on here. Let me cancel out of this. Let me go back to the start. Just refresh this real quick. Hit the plus sign. And then test 1, 2, 3. And then description. And then let's just grab some photos. There's this mouse. This mouse needs to be repaired. And then, we just go grab all of our photos. It seems like it's going to be 3 clicks to get a photo in there, or different angles, right? All right, so now we hit the save right there. That's going to save it. And again, those pictures are pretty big, right? I mean, they're this is a Google Pixel 3a, so I mean the photos on the quality on those photos is pretty good. So they're going to come over pretty big, and that's what they're doing. So they saved that up into SharePoint to the actual list. And now if we kick out here, let's hit refresh here. It doesn't seem like it triggered it yet. Let's go to, and there they are. Why, you said you didn't trigger. How did they show up? Oh, there it is. It was running. And by the time we snapped out and snapped back in, and within those 7 seconds, it completed, right? So it took them out, it extracted them. It just moved them from that item collection and dumped them here, right? So the one thing we didn't do was add in our item. So if we get a bunch of these, we have no ID to tie this to. And the ID we want to tie this to is going to be this equipment request is ID off of this guy here. Well, I'm going to pop this open a new tab. So let me just show and hide and get the ID column, right? And again, I like my IDs at the top. So this is going to be item ID 3. And if there's a separate request, you need to tag the ID of that request to those photos, or else they're going to get confused. So let's fix that. So if we go into our Power Automate, all we're doing now is creating a file. So now there's another step that says once the file makes it to the library, oh, we didn't check and make sure those files were working correctly. Let's click on one, make sure. Yep, there's our mouse. And then if you click next, it goes to the next item. Look at that. And they're there, and they're huge. Trust me, they're huge. Okay, so now let's get the ID in there. So if I go back to Power Automate, creating a file is one thing, but updating the file properties is a separate thing. So you're going to have your files there, and then you're going to select this action here that says update file properties. And then again, we have to go through the rigmarole again of selecting the site, selecting which library have the photo, and then it's going to ask you, okay, so this is the ID of the photo in the library. Again, ID is context sensitive in the sense that you have to grab the right one. So the ID, when we did that create file to create the file in the document library, that's the ID it's looking for. So now it exposes all of this metadata to me for those files or for those photos. So for the display name, I'm gonna just keep it simple. Let's just use the title that's from the item that created this trigger. And then for the ID, let's do let's do the ID of the item that generated this trigger, right? Item was created or modified. That's gonna be that guy, and let's default to before state for now, right? And let's go ahead and save this all. And then this should work as expected. So now what we want to do, we want to be able to read these items back, right? So I'm running out of things to take a picture, so let's see here. So if I go back into this guy here, actually what I want to do, let's delete this because it doesn't have the ID associated to it. So let's get rid of that. And then hit the plus sign, let's do something else. So let's just do notepads. Need better pads. All right, and then let's go ahead and take a picture of some notepads. And that's going to be that. Kick that up there and get another angle. That's going to be that. All right, and then let's just save that all. Okay. So while that's working, now we have a request that's actually going to be the save as ID with that. Let's go back into PowerApps Studio and let's spruce up our app. Okay, so for the details screen, we do want to show the gallery, right? Yeah, so the details screen, we want to show our gallery. So all we want to do here, let's go ahead and drop our gallery in here. So let's do insert and then gallery. And I like it when the photos go left and right. So let's just drop this in there. Let's close this up. It's going to have a title. I don't think we really need a title. Well, I'm screwing this up. So let's just say view photo gallery. Let's rename this. So gallery view photos. All right. And if I scroll down here, I don't really need I don't need these titles, right? So I'll just get rid of these labels because all I'm dealing with is just straight up photos. And now let's move this gallery into position. Let's just move this right under description or something like that. Stretch it out. Right. And I love the fact that this is a horizontal gallery because now it's going to allow me to thumb through that and it's going to come through really nice. So let's just load this gallery up with some items. So let's go over here to our data sources, add in a SharePoint data source. And we want to bring in our document library, right? So let's do equipment requests, and then my snap photos document library is going to be here. Here's another thing. If you created a picture library or picture library, it will not show up here by default. You can force it by typing in the name to force it in, but I think because they realize that when you get to the mobile app, you won't be able to access those files. That's why I think they kind of hide those types from you. All right. So once you get the photos, the snap photos data source in here, let's go ahead and plug it into our gallery. So snap photos. And as of right now, of course, we want to put a filter in here. But for right now, we're going to keep it as is. Now, my images are saying, okay, which image do I want to display? So for each file in that library, here's the trick. The trick is do not use link to item, right? It looks like a good idea and it feels like that's going to work, but those are the raw photos. And right now, it seemed like it loaded pretty quickly, but those are going to take, they're going to weigh on you, and they're going to be very tough on your mobile device. Instead, what you want to do, let's just try it. Okay, you don't believe me, fine. So let's do link to item. Not only are these photos heavy, this is not a, let me show you something. If I bring in this label, let me bring in this label. And I want to take the time to go through this because you may be dealing with a different scenario. I'm sorry, let me zoom in. You may be dealing with a different scenario, and you may need to understand this data so you can position yourself or your app better. So in this label, what I'm gonna do, instead of dumping in title, I'm gonna dump in link to item, and you can see that URL. Let me drop the font to something that's more manageable. Now, this is what I found out. If the reference to this item starts with HTTPS and the name of your tenant, you're not going to see it on the mobile app. I can see this in the browser. This will work fine in the browser, and it's going to be every day, all day, look fantastic. And then you push this out and you test it out on your mobile device, and you're not going to see those items. So and that's the authentication piece I was trying to explain earlier, but here I can demonstrate it here a little bit. So let me click in here, hit refresh on this guy for notepads, and then click onto this guy. Oh, sorry, PowerApps, you actually have to go out and then go back in to see the latest and greatest. All right, so there's my notification at the tippy top. Hit that. It says, hey, you got to update to this app. Click here to see the latest. And now you see what's happening. I can see the actual link reference, right? But I don't see the actual photo, right? You see that? No photo. And it's there. You go to and you scratch your head. It's like, man, in the browser I can see it, but on my phone I can't see it. What's up with that? Okay, so here's the deal. The deal is, if I go through here and you explore these properties a little bit, go into my text property here and hit thumb. If you hit thumbnail, and then thumbnails, you have several different sizes. You have, let's do small. Take a look at the difference in this URL, right? This is, and actually it's a lot larger than we have the real estate to show. Let's see, let me expand my gallery out, get some more head space here. It's still a lot. But anyway, this is, wait, is this the actual image? This looks like the actual image. Yeah, this looks like the byte size of the image. See, I thought this was a URL. All right, let's try large. Yeah, see, I thought that was the actual, it looks like the byte size of the image itself. But anyway, so if you hit small, right, the narrative for this is that you want to, don't use link, use the thumbnail reference, and use the right size to where it makes sense for you, right? So for this one, I'm gonna just hit small, and that's gonna give me, it's gonna be very pixelated. I can even go smaller here, especially if I wanted to display this, just play around with it, get the right balance that's right for you. For the images, what you can do fill, right? And that's going to bring, that's going to fill it up. And small seemed like that may be too small of a thumbnail. So let's do medium, right? And now let's get rid of our I told you so stuff. And let's squeeze this up a little bit so it's not taking up more real estate than it's needed. And then let's save this off and then see if our photos start to pop up. Publish this, right? All right, so now if I switch back over here, log in and go here, hit refresh here, click into my app. I should get a notification. Yep, there's the latest version. Click in here now, and there we go. There are my photos, and now I can loop through. So now, but you'll notice that I had 2 requests, right? So that the one with the mouse, that's what I deleted. The one with the notepads are the ones that that actually goes with the notepad request. So, and this is why the item ID is super important, because you want to do a filter. So on this gallery, what you want to do is do a filter on. Don't give me all the photos in the library. Only give me the ones where the item ID is equal to the selected ID from the browse gallery, right? So understand that. Understand. Let me zoom out of here. Understand the flow. The flow is when the screen first opens, it's going to show all the requests, right? And then once those requests go through, let me see if I can rename this. So it's gallery requests, and hopefully I don't break anything by renaming this. So once those go through, they're going to select one of these, navigate to this detail screen. So now what we want to do is get the gallery selected ID. So gal request dot selected, whichever one they clicked on, and then from that one grab the ID, and that's going to match. That's going to match my item ID. Now these are two different types, right? So if I mouse over here, you see it has the data type number. If I mouse on this one, let's see if it's going to have a data type. It's not going to tell me. It's actually text, right? Because we like a single line. So to fix that, I need to convert this number into a text. So my equal test condition will work as expected. And as soon as I do that, you can see these are starting to kick in and work as expected. So let me drop these down here. Go ahead and save this off. And we should be good to go. Publish this version. All right, so we're gonna have to wrap this video up because it's the beginning of the day and we got to get going with our work day. But and I can come back with a part 2 and show you how to drop those metadatas in. But it's really going to be in that Power App request, right? Update process. So in that Power App, when you do the update file properties, any metadata on the item that triggered that request, you can save it then, right? And that's how you're going to be able to add metadata to these items, right? Okay, so that's cool. So now let's just double check and make sure that we are actually indeed getting distinct images. So now let's go to let's say speaker repair, and then here just sample speaker. Wow, is this icon going to really save? Let's see if that emoji icon saves. All right, so now let's take a photo of the speaker. Get another photo, side of the speaker. All right, and then save it off. Man, if that icon saves, that's everything. So now you can put hearts and smiles and all this other cool stuff. That is awesome. That is fantastic. All right, so what's happening here? So what's happening here is that your photos are actually being processed by the Power Automate, right? Because we don't show the attachments, but the user has no idea. They think that, oh man, my photos didn't save, and they come back in here and they actually start uploading more. So let me just show you this one last trick, and then we'll come back and confirm that's working. And then if we need to do a phase 2, we can do a phase 2 or part 2 of this. What you want to do, because that Power Automate, it will take some time. It only takes 7 to 8 seconds to run, as we saw. But, to get everything through, it does take time. So we need to communicate something to the user. So what we are doing, this guy's going to be empty. So what we can, let's just drop in a label, right? And just a quick message, and we can put it over here. And we can say, your photos are being processed, or something like that. Your photos are processing your photos, or whatever. So here I can do a bold text here. And if I had like one of those GIFs that has like the ... or a spinner, I mean, you can inject that, right? And Now what you want to do is put some smarts behind this, right? Because you only want this to show when the gallery is not populated, or there it's not been it doesn't have anything to show. So in order to do that, what you can do is that on this label, go down to the view, and you say only make visible if my gallery view photos dot items, all items, and just count them. There's a count method. So if the count is less than 1, show it. Else, don't show it. I think I want a single item table to count. So you have to select the property. I mean, it's arbitrary, right? You can do what it was saying is say, hey, you got too many properties. This is a return to multiple columns. The count is only looking for a single column table. So you just select the property off of that. All right. So if the count is less than 1, then show it. Else hide it. Right. So in this case, it's going to be hidden. All right. So now let's go back to, let's just push this up. Let's go back, save this off, and confirm that our ID, our new request came back as expected. All right, so now let's do this. Let's go back. Let's get out of PowerApps Studio. And that, hopefully, as you can see, I mean, this really sets you up. I'll tell you the secret. The secret is saving it, adding flow to this process, and moving those attachments out of the list item and storing them. Hey, where's the rest of my photos? And storing them in onto my photos. That's just one. That's weird. Storing them into a document library, and then from the document library, you can add metadata. And the fact that you can add metadata to them opens it up to where you can save a lot of information now. This is, all right, so it's one photo. So I'm on number 5, right? For some odd reason, what's this one? Oh, see, that's the one we were testing with. The ones that don't have an ID, those are the ones we were testing with, and the IDs didn't show up. But I don't know why this guy is not showing up, though. That's weird. I had to refresh it. I got it now. I had to refresh it, and it popped up. So maybe we do a part 2 to this, and then maybe add in. So what I can do Thursday, let's do a part 2, and then we can also add in the approver logic, right? And that was another question, FAQ, that came out to say, okay, how do you lock down certain features or capabilities based on the current user's either role, or if they're an admin, or if they're a standard user, or whatever the case may be. So let's add in more smarts to this, because ideally what we want to do next is be able to click on these images and have them pop up to where you can get a better view of them. We can go through and test this out with multiple images. And then also you probably put in the logic for before and after, right? So so we can layer those in. So let's do that Thursday. I'll go ahead and let's get back on Thursday and give it a try, and we go from there. All right. Thanks a lot, Akesh and Double G, and then Yakula. I really appreciate everyone joining. If there's any questions about what you've seen today, drop them in the comments. That's why I'm here. That's why I do these live sessions, so that way we can learn together. I can put together some POCs and dig deep and try to figure out some really cool patterns and techniques. I really enjoy doing this because if you're like me, you know that Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Flow, Power BI, they all can be game changers within the organization. And the more the tricks and tips that we learn together on how to pull this off, the quicker we can accelerate our organization to go to that next level, to be competitive. And with times like these where things are a lot remote now, And technology is more important now than ever before because of the social distancing or whatever this new world order we're going to find ourselves into. These types of things will really, really help with keep the communication and information between individuals and between workforce and people in the field or people in the office or wherever um, connected, right? Because taking a photo of an item speaks volumes than writing a very long description about what the item is, and having historics on the photo of this is what it looked like before, this is what it looked like after. You can add any other additional metadata along with those photos is very, very powerful. And then the fact that you can do all of this on your mobile device is everything. I mean, it's everything. It really, really changes the game in that sense. So pretty excited. So let's jump back on Thursday. We do Thursday. Let's shoot for. I think I can do 9 a.m. But either way, I'll set. It'll be between 9 and 10 Eastern time to get it done, to get it cranked out. All right. Well, thanks a lot, and see you Thursday. Any questions? Leave it in the comments. Take care.